So we tend to think of the UK as a really wet and rainy place. And it's difficult to imagine that we get drought. We tend to think of drought happening overseas in semi-arid countries like Australia or somewhere like in California. But we do get drought in the UK. Since the beginning of the 19th century, we've had about 10 really severe droughts that have had massive impacts on farming, on water resources and on public health.
The family name is Herdman, which absolutely fits for a dairy farmer. I'm not really sure where that's come from, but as far back as, say, 4 generations that I know, that we've always been milking cows. The heat wave in 2018 is something that we're not unused to, but it's been more severe this year because of the actual heat and the length of time that we had over 30 degrees. That really impacts on the cows and has an immediate economic effect. Number one, in that yields are lowered almost immediately because the cows are not so active, their appetite goes down.
To most people, especially of the younger generation, they've just had the best summer ever. It's been lovely and hot for days and days on end, but for us and the farming community, it's been really hard. It's been hard looking after our livestock and keeping them as cool and stress-free as possible. And in terms of harvesting our crops and things like that, it has been a struggle.
Well, droughts aren't that memorable for everyone. The sort of people that remember droughts really well usually remember them not because of the drought at all, but because something else was happening in their life at the time that was really significant. So they were having their first baby, they were getting married, they were getting a new job, doing their exams at school, that kind of thing. Those are the sorts of things that trigger then memories of droughts. There are other types of people that also remember droughts really well, and they're the sorts of people that are heavily involved in dealing with the impacts of droughts. And those people quite obviously tend to be water resources managers, firemen who fight fires because we have a lot more fires when it's very dry, nurses who deal with people who are suffering from the impacts of heat waves, people who are farming, dairy farmers in particular, they feel it.
I think if we go back to look at droughts in the past, 1976 was the one that springs to everyone's mind as a very severe drought, and I think was worse than we've just experienced this year. It came on very quickly and had a very immediate effect. We were having to feed cows earlier than we did this year. So instead of eating the grass that should be growing in the fields, we have to supplement that with straw and potentially silage, which is already reduced, and concentrate. So this all adds to the cost, which is quite significant.
So we've had a number of really severe droughts in the UK. So for example, we had what was called the long drought from 1890 to about 1910. So there was a number of decades where the whole of the UK was kind of going in and out of drought almost continually for 2 decades. So drought can be a real problem in the UK. And what we expect under climate change is that as temperatures rise and the world gets warmer, then we'll have more severe droughts. The impact of drought will get larger, primarily because during summertime, temperatures will be higher, we'll have greater evaporation, and that'll have an impact on farming and also on water resource management.